Can't stay here, you gotta go. Oh, don't give me that attitude. What?
Oh, you want some more, do you?
Mate, I think he's just an angry drunk. See what happens when you try and cut people off?
We're here today working on the V80 again. This will be episode 4. So, what have we been up to? What have you been up to, Rex?
Hang on.
Hold on, we're just got some copyright issues we've got to take care of.
Yeah, I'm trying to save you some editing time.
Alright, so pretty much got to a point where it was time for this motor to come out, and so everything's sort of can go to get HPC coated, the motor can go get acid washed, and we can basically then start looking at our final assembly. Rex made a little torque stabilizer, which not on at the moment. Oh, we'll show you that when we put it all back together, I guess. We'll go through everything when we put it back together pretty well. Got a lovely bit of wiring hanging out. Beautiful.
My favourite thing in the whole world. Can't get enough of it.
I'll just show you this as well. Rex reckons he figured out how to set up the cruise control. Here's a cruise control from the ECU. So Rex has put on the steering wheel here.
Hey, if I can't get it working, you've got to edit this out of the footage so that we never tried it.
Right. Anyway, so there are some buttons on the steering wheel there that will hopefully work for the cruise control, so that we have cruise control, which will be dandy. So there's just a little toggle switch for up and down and a little button for setting. So it's all happening. So obviously you can buy coil relocation kits for LS's for how much you reckon?
Oh, anywhere from sort of $80 to $120 I've seen them.
Yeah. So you can buy coil relocation kits, but if you're working on a budget and you want to do it a cheaper way, this is what we're doing. Here we've got some M6 booker rod and just some aluminium tubing to space them apart. It's a very simple setup, very effective and very cheap.
Less than 20 bucks in materials.
Easy enough to build if you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh no. Nah, it's all falling apart now. Throw it in the bin.
In the bin.
Bennett. That is a very basic idea of what we're going to be doing.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
So we've installed the fuel pump into the tank, and Rex is just he's putting the tank back in, which is a super easy and not frustrating job at all.
Yeah, it's a dream.
This is the torque stabilizer that Rex built. It's made out of an old shocky that we had lying around. So because it's an old, just sort of obviously cut it off and welded it solid, but it's still got rubber mounts because it was a shock. So that's sort of going to take a fair bit of the vibration out, but still going to work very well as the torque stabilizer for the motor. It goes back to the chassis, so we'll cover that a bit more when it goes back together. But it's a pretty cool little bit of gear that costs nothing. Righty, so the motor's out. So here we're trying to find where to actually run our return lines into the timing case for the turbo feeds. Down here on this block, that's where you can run sort of a couple of feeds to coolers and turbo feed and return. One there, but still needs to be some. Apparently most people put them into the timing cover, but we are searching for room at this point. This is phone a friend. Phone a friend, where do we put our return lines for our fucking oil?
I'm tempted to just put it in the sump like you normally would, but apparently you put it in the timing cover, but I'm not seeing how it's any easier. I guess it could be different given that we have a Landcruiser with twin turbos and high mounts, so for us there's actually a lot of room down under here that we can run lines. I'm guessing in HQs and most other cars people put them in turbo, and I guess they don't have that room, but I don't know, I'll see what I can find out.
The sump's got to come off it anyway, so probably just as easy to put them into the sump. Just means the lines are going to be maybe a bit longer.
But they will be lower. I don't know. I'll phone a friend. Phone a friend.
Alrighty, so time to start pulling this down so the block can go and get acid washed, and then we can start putting it all together for its final assembly. Anyway, motor's apart. It's cold as here, so we're gonna go to bed now and keep going in the morning.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, me too.
I wanted to pull two of the valves out to check valve guide wear, but I can't find our valve spring compressors, and I'm concerned that when I do, they're not going to work on these heads because, different to a Holden or a small block, the side rails are really high. I don't think our spring compressor is going to work, so we may have to buy a different style. How about you push on the spring and I'll pull the locks out?
As long as it's pointed at you. Nah, they're LS springs. I wouldn't even go 5 feet.
Yeah, I'm just having a look. You know, when you pull it down, it's good to just inspect things and just see what was going on inside the motor before it came down. See how that roller there's just got a couple of scores. So it's got a couple of scores in the middle there, so something's gone through it between it and the cam at some point, but it's nothing serious. It's just, you know, it's good to have information about what it was doing before it was pulled out of the car. Overall though, it looks pretty good. So yeah, we've got new lifters to put in this motor anyway, but it is good just to pay attention when you're pulling it down, in case you spot a problem or something that was going on when it was running that might be an issue if you just put it back together. Well, it's in not too bad a shape. So we're going to do a basic rebuild of new rings and bearings everywhere, and then it's going to get a cam, lifters, new springs, and a trunnion upgrade, and a little bit of head work just to help it as well. And it'll get an upgraded oil pump, and that should pretty much do it. So these are our neighbours. They like to come over for a bit of a beer every now and then.
Fucking bite me, mate. Trying to bite me, mate.
Some of them are aggressive drunks. Got to have good neighbours.
Always good for a chin wag and a beer. Hey, mate.
Mate, that's it. You're cut off fighting with the other neighbours. You're done, mate. That's it. Sorry. Can't stay here. You got to go. Oh, don't give me that attitude. What?
Oh, you want some more, do you?
I think he's just an angry drunk. See what happens when you try and cut people off? Jesus.